Hi everyone. Gwe Nimtawisin Jake Nin Syracuse Leawin. My name is Jake. I'm from Syracuse, New York. I'm a student here in my first year at UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm currently majoring in anthropology and contemporary European politics with a minor in either Russian or Spanish. My global background is I took a gap year through UNC's Global Gap Year Fellowship before coming to UNC, during which I visited Havana, Cuba, and Navajo Nation mainly, and then some other side trips to Scandinavia, Mi'kma'ki, Israel, and elsewhere. My languages is I speak English and Spanish, a bit of Navajo. I picked up a little. I wouldn't say I really speak it, but I'm learning. And I'm also learning Russian and Mi'kmaq right now. My other interest is music. I sing in an a cappella group, and I'm going to be in orchestra next semester. Beadwork, politics, and activism, and I love road trips, visiting national parks, that sort of thing, very much. So a little information, like I mentioned before, Mi'kma'ki, which is what we call the Mi'kmaq Nation territory, is in mainly eastern Canada and northeastern Maine. So it's what is now the Canadian provinces of Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and then the Gaspé Peninsula, which is in the province of Quebec immediately above New Brunswick. Here's some different photos of Mi'kma'ki, just so you can get a picture of really how beautiful and diverse this area is. You have everything from in the middle on top, that's the Rock of Persay, which is off the Gaspé Peninsula. And the Mi'kmaq people were called the people of the rising sun sometimes, or the people of the eastern sun, because the sun always rises in Atlantic Canada before it rises anywhere else in North America, because it's very far north, very far east. And so we greet in the sun every day before any other part of Turtle Island or North America. And you can see our traditional territory is split into 8 districts, including Cape Breton Island has a lot of Mi'kmaq people today, and the largest Mi'kmaq reserve called Eskazoni with over 4,000 people there. And then you can also see we have everything from these mountains and fjords in Cape Breton Island and Newfoundland. We have the rolling potato patches at Prince Edward Island, cities like Halifax, and then on the left, of course, is a photo from a powwow, just so you can get a little taste of our traditional regalia and practices. So a little information on something happening right now around our fishing rights and conflicts. So, oh, I see my microphone is cutting out. If anyone can't hear me, just let me know, and I can put things in the chat if needed. But anyways, so there's currently fishing conflicts happening around the Mi'kmaq right to hunt and fish and trade in our traditional territory. And as laid out in a series of treaties in the 1700s, we have the right to hunt and fish and trade in our traditional ways um, and govern ourselves in that matter. And these rights were confirmed in a 1999 Supreme Court case, but the conflict is still occurring between native fishermen and non-native fishermen in Nova Scotia here. Liz, if you'd like to play that video from 2 minute 46 second to the end, there's a little more information on what exactly is happening.
You've been covering this story stand here.
I think that what's really important is just, that this is not an illegal fishery, that the Mi'kmaq have a treaty right that was upheld by the Supreme Court of Canada to earn like a moderate livelihood, to make a living from the resources, so fishing, hunting, and gathering. And so, the problem is that Canada hasn't implemented that decision, that they have no rules around a moderate livelihood fishery. And so in the eyes of DFO, and certainly in the eyes of the non-Mi'kmaq fish harvesters down there, they're calling it an illegal fishery. There's some concerns about, conservation. There's a rhetoric around conservation, I should say, because the science doesn't back that up. Like the lobster stocks in St. Mary's Bay, where the Sipekne'katik Band is fishing, are healthy, and DFO's own science shows that. But it's kind of been this battle cry It was a battle cry in Burnt Church by the non-Mi'kmaq fishermen, and you still hear it today. But it's just not true. And the danger with that language is it kind of creates a narrative that the Mi'kmaq are doing something wrong. And so we have to be really careful, because what really needs to happen is that Canada needs to implement the Marshall Decision.
There are larger implications here. Trina, can you briefly tell us a bit about those?
Yeah, just really briefly, like this is not just a story about fishing on the East Coast. It's not just a story about lobster. This is a story about how Canada handles treaty rights. You know, and there's negotiation tables across the country, inherent rights or inherent framework agreements, and so you know, this is important to everybody. This is because this really speaks to how Canada handles Aboriginal and treaty rights. You know, if they're not implemented, if they're ignoring a court decision after 21 years, you know, what does that sort of mean? I mean, Indigenous people have a lot of wins in court, but if they're not being implemented into law, then what does that mean? So it's something people should pay attention to. And this story is not, like I said, it's unfolding. We're going to be watching very carefully to see what happens next.
Trina, I appreciate you joining us here to give us a broader context on what's taking place.
All right, thank you, Dennis.
So you can see there, we've been fishing these waters for tens of thousands of years in a sustainable way and harvesting only enough we need to eat and provide for our families. And we've had that right outlined since the 1700s, but still, of course, there's errors in how our rights are protected by the RCMP, which is the Canadian Police, and generally, we're still fighting for the right to do what we've been doing since the beginning of our time as a people. A little on education. Efforts are underway throughout Atlantic Canada to revive Mi'kmaq in reserve schools. And today, most Mi'kmaq education in Nova Scotia is controlled by our reserves. Over half of our teachers are Mi'kmaq, and we have the highest rates of university attendance among all of Canada's Indigenous people. So that's one of our proudest accomplishments, is the way that we are bringing back our language. Right now, 11,000 of our 170,000 people speak it, but it's very important to teach it to that younger generation and really inspire them to go to university and to do well and to know our language and our ways.